Hi, this is Owen Astrachan for CompSci 201. I want to talk about the APTs that are due this week. It's November 7th that use comparators and comparable. We did talk about this in class, but it was a while ago. So I want to just make sure that we're kind of all on the same page. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of these APTs. So here is the sorted freaks APT. That's one of the ones that's due this week. I hope that most of you will have an idea on what to do here. So I just want to make it clear. The return frequencies represent an alphabetical ordering of unique words. The first frequency is how many times the alphabetically first word occurs. The last frequency is the number of times the alphabetically last word occurs. And you have some examples here. Why is it 3122? Well, alphabetically first is apple. It occurs 1, 2, 3. Then we have banana. It occurs once. Cherry occurs twice. And pear occurs twice. I hope most of you will think, oh, I need a map to figure out how many times everything occurs. So if I'm going to do this APT, which is sorted freaks, and again, I just moved that off of my screen, so let me see if I can figure out how to get it back because I'm challenged with multiple monitors. So sorted freaks, copy that class, sorted freaks, come back in here and say I want a new class, sorted freaks.java. I'm pasting that. I'm pasting that again. I'm going to want a map, which is in java.util. I like to always have my code not have red squiggles, so I'm going to say return null. That just makes my squiggles go away. I'm going to write this just because I can, but I'm not going to pay attention to it. So I hope that you all will be able to do this yourselves. And I'm going to use a tree map because trees keep things in alphabetical order. I'm not sure why it's squiggle here. Tree map cannot be resolved into a variable. Oh, I need to say new tree map, otherwise my syntax isn't right. And I'm just going to loop over the strings in data, and as I hope you know there's a million ways to use a map, I'm going to say map.put s, map.get or default s 0. This is the shorter way of writing it that I like to use. So I'm going to put with the key s, I'm going to get the value already with s. I'm going to get 0 if there isn't one there, and I'm going to add 1 to it. Now I've got all the frequencies. What's the size of the array I'm going to return? It's the number of unique keys. So that's a new int array with map.size elements in it. And I'm going to end up returning that, and I'm going to just hide that map for a minute because I want to concentrate on if I loop over the strings in the map key set. Because it's a tree, they'll come out in order. So that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to say, well, my index is 0, and I'm going to say ret sub index is map.getS. That's the frequency of the alphabetically first word. Then I'm going to say index plus plus, and I'm hoping that that code's all green. And because I can, I'll come and see, all right, can I actually check to see if it's all green? That was sorted freaks. I'll choose a file. I'll see if I know where that is. APTs, sorted freaks. There we go. All green. Woohoo! My green dance is ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. Not really. All right. Now, sort by freaks. That's pretty much the same thing, but not pretty much the same thing. I'm going to use that same map. The first element is the most frequently occurring string. The last element is the least frequently occurring. Just look at the example. Similar to what we had before, apple, pear, banana, cherry, because apple is the most frequently occurring string. pear was 2, banana was 2. Banana was 1, cherry is 1, pear is 2. Why does banana come before cherry when they each occur once? Because it comes alphabetically first, okay? And it says, pear occurred twice. Ties are broken in alphabetical order. Now, I'm going to do this again with some ideas. I'm going to copy. It's sort by freaks, so I'm going to move this out of the way, come back into my code, sort by freaks.java, paste this in here. I know I'm going to need java.util, so I'm going to do that. I want to make sure that I don't have red squiggles, so I'm going to return null. I'll get rid of that soon. I don't like red squiggles. And now I'm going to go to sort by freaks, and I'm just going to copy this code that took care of counting up how many times everything occurred. Why write from scratch? I got it all right there. I'm just going to kind of try to make sure that I'm not looking at it. So I sorted it by frequencies. Sorry, I know how many times every string occurs. How do I sort that? Well, you can ask ChatGPT, and it will give you a whole bunch of information about map.entry, which is an inner class in map. It'll probably give you some lambda expressions for sorting. I don't talk about lambdas in 201 because although they're great and the syntax is terse, I don't want to spend my time explaining that when we're talking about algorithms and data structures. You can ask ChatGPT and it will tell you about it. My idea here is, what do I know? I know I need comparators, and there's also this class comparable. So I'm going to essentially make up an inner class, and I'm going to say public class pair, and it's just going to be a pair of strings and integers. But I'm going to say it implements comparable because that means I know I can just sort by it. Comparable pair. That's the syntax for saying something. Now, it's going to say click to add a breakpoint. It's going to say something about what? Add unimplemented methods. Yeah, compared to. So this is an inner class. You can see here it says sorted by freaks pair. And I'm going to compare by frequency. So I need to put in my pair string word int frequency, and I'm going to say, how do you make a pair? I'm going to make a constructor. And because I like to make constructors with every class, so word is S and freak is val. I'm not sure I'm going to be using this constructor, but I know what I'm going to want to do here is say, I'm going to want to compare my frequency and O's frequency. What does it mean if I'm less? So if my frequency is 3 and O's frequency is 2, I'm bigger because I want the most frequently occurring thing to occur first. So I'll say if diff isn't 0, return diff. But if diff is 0, I want to compare alphabetically. So that was word.compare to o.word. So just quickly, what's going on there? I want to compare by frequencies, and I want the highest frequency to be first. Normally, compare to returns a negative value if the thing being compared is less. So why is apple less than banana? Because A comes before B, so apple.compare to banana would be a negative number. I want, if the frequency of this word is 6 and the frequency of the other word is 12, I'll have 6 here, 12 here. What is 6 minus 12? That's a negative number. That means I am less. So I think that's too many words, and I said something differently before. So let's do it this way. My freak is 8. O's freak is 12. Which one do I want coming first in my array? I think you know the answer is 12. But 8 minus 12 is a negative number. If I return that negative number, that means I am less than 12. I will occur first in the array because less than means that you come early in the array. So I'm going to return negative 1 times diff because that means if I am 8 and O is 12, I'm going to return 4, meaning I am greater. Greater things come at the end of the array. So you might have to think about that for a minute, but I've got pair. Now I'm going to come back to my map class, my map, and instead of strings to integers, I'm going to put strings to pairs because I need these pairs. But alternatively, I could just make a list of the pairs. So I'll do it that way. I've got strings, I've got integers. Let's just leave that as it is. And now let's make an array list of pair objects. And I'm going to loop over all the strings in my map. And I'm going to say list.add new pair. What's that pair consist of? S and map.getS. Let me just remind you. Pair had in it a word and how many times it occurs. Word and how many times it occurs. I can sort pairs because they implement comparable, and I can sort anything that's comparable. So once I make this list and fill it full of pairs, I can say collections.sort list. Now, why is it collections.sort? Because it's an array list. Arrays.sort is just for an array. So now I've got all these pairs, but I need to return a list of strings. It's an array of strings. So string, ret, and this is going to be similar to what I did before. That's a new array that has in it the same number of values as list.size, which is the same number as map.size. And now I just want to fill it up with the values from the thing. So I'll do it exactly like what I did before. I'll say index is 0 for pair p in list. I'm looping over all the pairs, and I'm going to say ret sub index gets p dot word. And then I'm going to say index plus equals 1. Sometimes I say plus plus, return ret. Now, what was that? Same map code to find out how many times everything occurs. So I've got all that, and I don't really want to look at it. I made an array list of pairs. Why? Because I can sort them. How can I sort them? Because they implement comparable. Anything that implements comparable can be sorted. Once I've done that, I'm going to take everything out of it. Now, I did that really quickly. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm always an optimist. Part of the problem is that negative number up there on diff, I have to think carefully about that. So here we go. Sort by freaks, choose the file, sort by freaks. There we go. Test it, run it. Woo, baby, 7 out of 7. I gotta like that a lot. Enjoy. There you go. Metal table, you already got a video, and there you are.